Kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Tucson, Arizona, after an extremely super fantastic sparkling day in Tombstone. I was almost about to say Tucson again. So today was amazing. It was just, and I wasn't even sitting in any lectures or seminars or anything. Did do a couple of shows and interesting bits and pieces, but it was an incredible day. Started off the day getting up early. Not getting up, well, I did get up early because I had to make sure I had my keto coffee and got everything ready to go today. Then I did my accountability call, which was awesome because I had sent my goals in yesterday, so I could just go through those. It was really cool. Then I had to do a little bit of work, so I did get on the road a little late. I didn't get on the road till just before 11 o'clock, and it's just over an hour drive from here to Tombstone. So I knew I wasn't going to see the noonday, because my goal was to get there to see the noonday gunfight, and I didn't get there for that. But it was a very interesting drive, because partway along, we're going along the I-10 to get to, you go along the I-10 to get to the US 80, and then the US 80 takes you right into Tombstone. And so I was on the, let me take my watch off here for a second, bang myself with it. So I was on the I-10, and we're in a 75 mile an hour zone, and I'm sitting there, and I'm probably got the cruise control on either 77 or 78, a little bit of a rebel here. And there was a few little hills, and I'd always get behind a truck coming up to the little hill, so I would then indicate, move over, put my foot down, overtake the truck, slow back down again, and move back in. And I was hitting probably 80, 81. And I noticed behind me in the lane to my left, I didn't think which, there was a Chevrolet sitting back there, a Chevy, and there was a little plus sign on the grill. And I didn't think much of it. It was a dark grey car. I didn't think much of it. And so, I indicate, move out, overtake the truck, indicate, move back in, slow back down to 77, 78, wherever I was on the cruise control. And it did this. This went on for about 15, 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden the Chevy starts speeding up. And I thought, oh, he's finally going to overtake, because he's been sitting out in that lane forever. And he slows up and he gets right beside me. And like, I'm here, he's here, and he's like right beside me. I'm like, why is he not overtaking? And I look to my left. It's a dark grey car, right? Or medium dark grey car, and in dark grey, almost black, it's got Benson Police written on the side. No lights. There's no lights on this vehicle. And I'm like, just smiled, and then I just slowed back down to 75, and he just sped up and took off past the truck that went over, and I thought, fine, you can speed up, me too. Out past the truck back, but he couldn't fault me for lane changes. I nearly always indicate. It's something that got drilled into me in New Zealand, is that you indicate. Always put your turn signals on, and to change lanes, whatever. And then I followed him all the way into Benson. So yeah, that was my speed control. Just pull up next to the vehicle, check this, go with them to check their speed, and then just see what they do. So that was my speeding control. But after that, I had a great drive down there. It was gorgeous. It was a gorgeous. I just wish there were like little side places that you could pull over and take photographs, because the views were amazing. Yes, I probably could have pulled over to the shoulder and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, I'd rather have a little more space. But got down to Tombstone just before midday, and I had parked the car down near the courthouse, and I had gotten out, and as I was getting ready to walk away, I could hear the bells chiming 12 o'clock. I thought, oh, it's 12. And I looked at my watch. It's 12 o'clock. Look at that. And the bells are chiming. And it gave 12 tones. And then as I'm walking up the street, the bells start playing Amazing Grace. And I'm like, that is really cool. And so I walked up the street I was on. Hang on, I think I've got my little map. Walked up 3rd Street to Allen Street, because Allen Street is the main street, and where everything is. And as I turned the corner, so going down, I'm like, hang on, it's changed tune. And I stood there and listened, and it was Morning Has Broken. Oh, that is really cool. And it's somewhere behind me. I don't even know. I suspect it might have been the Community Congregational Church that was built in 1903, according to the map I have, but I don't know. And so Allen Street, they have they have 3 blocks that are blocked off for pedestrian use only, just on Allen Street. If there's a cross street, those are open and cars can go across Allen Street. So you do have to be careful of the vehicles on the numbered streets, because those aren't blocked to pedestrians, but all the other street part is. So I found I saw the OK Corral sign and that sort of thing, and I thought, well, I wonder if that's where it is. So I went into the visitor center, always a good place to start, and was looking around the different brochures and magazines and stuff they have, because I like to do that in case I miss something. And I came across the coolest hotel pamphlet I have ever seen. Remember, we're in Tombstone, Wild West, so you would expect to see something Wild West-ish, right? This is the coolest one. It's a wanted poster. Wanted, sleepy people. And your reward is large, clean rooms, free Wi-Fi and local calls, air-conditioned. In downtown Tombstone, non-smoking rooms, free in-room coffee, Western hospitality. I thought that is so cool. So I had to grab one so I could bring, see, a wanted poster for sleepy people. Isn't that cool? I have seen a lot of commercials over the years, but this has to be one of the coolest ones for one of these tourist brochure thingies for a hotel I have ever seen. I thought that was really cool. So I went into the visitor center. So at the visitor center, I asked him if they had a map. He said yes. So he gave me the map. See, the map. All my little markings all on there. And I double checked with him that the OK Corral was across the street where I had to go, and he said yes. And so I signed their visitor's book and then left and went over to the OK Corral, because I figured I know I've got to get tickets, and the tickets involve a lot. So for the ticket, you get to go to the OK Corral Museum. You get to see the gunfight. You can elect to do, there's two tickets. One includes the gunfight show, one does not. So it's $6 per person for the one that does not include the gunfight show, and it's $10 per person for the one that includes the gunfight show. So of course I got the gunfight show one, because that's why I was there, my main reason. And it included the gunfight, entrance into the OK Corral Museum, the Historama, which is narrated by Vincent Price and was amazing. And then you get to go down to the Tombstone Epitaph, which is their newspaper, and get a free copy of the Tombstone Epitaph that had the story about the gunfight. And I was like, yes, this is all for $10. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so in on this. So I got the tickets, and the guy said, now you can either come back. He said, you've missed the 12 o'clock. The next one's at 2. He said, you got the choice of either 2 or 3:30 for the gun show. I said, I'll do the 2 o'clock one. So he booked me in for that. And he says, for the Historama, you can either do the 1 o'clock one before the show, or you can do, and he said, it goes about 25 minutes, or you can do the 3 o'clock or the 4 o'clock that will be after the gun show. And I was like, okay. And so I then thought, right, now I'm going to go explore. So with a little map in hand. Oh, yes, they gave me another map, and this is a really cool little guide map. It gives you the history of the gunfight at the OK Corral, which wasn't actually in the corral. It was on land behind the corral. Just a little strip of land behind the corral. But this is the map of the museum and the thing. And then the picture that I posted earlier. So I posted 2 pictures earlier today. One, I was sitting up the back here, looking down at the set, and then the second one I posted where it was the original site is over here. So if you have a look at the picture, look over the wall over this wall and over here, and you get to see they've got statues standing there, and they're a little animated as well. So there's a button that you can go press, and it tells the story of the gunfight, and then like the arms will come up and they'll shoot. and they've got a fence around it, so you can't actually walk between the statues and everything. And then on the fence, it's got name tags of who's standing where, which is kind of cool. And I've got pictures of all of that, which I will post some more pictures later. But yeah, it was, so went for a walk, just went browsing, wandering around, and I got 3 tickets. I got the yellow one, which let me into the museum and the gunfight. the pink one into the Historama, and the blue one gives me the Tombstone epitaph. So then went for a wander down Allen Street as far as I could, and then came back up because I realized I couldn't find the epitaph, didn't know where it was. And so I looked on my map, and it's actually on a side street. Look at the map first, Helen. Look at the map. But it was fun wandering around. Got to go past. There's 2 different stage coaches in there. One's on one side of the street, one's on the other. They're 2 different touring companies, and you can go for rides in them as well, and they'll take you in the stagecoach around Tombstone. I don't know how long the tours are. I was thinking about it, but I was kind of running out of time because I got there late. But so next time, I know a couple of things I'm going to do. So I finally went back and went through the, and you can go through the Tombstone Epitaph Museum, which is all about the printing press and how they did the printing and everything else, and how the letters were put in upside down and back to front. So you had to be really good at proofreading upside down and back to front in order to proofread everything. And then once they had the typeset set, they would then print off a page and then proofread the page to make sure everything was okay. So then I went and spoke with Bonnie, and she was the girl that was there, the lady that was there, and real sweetheart. And she saw Casey Kiwi sitting in my bag there, and asked where he was. What is that? And I said, everybody kept asking me where I was from, so I just figured I'm going to tell them I'm from New Zealand, but been in the States almost 23 years, which was my answer. And of course, if they would always ask me, how are you doing today? Super fantastic and sparkling. Got lots of really good reactions on that. It was awesome. And so she looks at me and she goes, from New Zealand. She says, that's the New Zealand bird, isn't it? And I said, yep. She says, now you have the kiwi, which is the fruit, and that's a key something. And I said, it's a kiwi. I said, this is the kiwi bird that the kiwi fruit was named after. She's like, oh, they both have the same name? I said, no, one's kiwi fruit and one's kiwi. I said, this is the kiwi. So it was awesome. We had a great conversation. And then I took a picture with Casey, which I will post later on. And so then I handed over my little blue ticket and got the Tombstone epitaph. So this has all the story in here about the gunfight. It has the original posting that was the original article that was written the day after the gunfight in here. Then it has, because Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday were actually arrested for murder. Did you know that? Then it has the testimony for the prosecution, the testimony for the defense, and then on the, and it's a big thing. It opens, but then on the back here it has the verdict, which is I haven't read it all. I kind of quickly skimmed through it, so I'm looking forward to diving into this and reading more about it and listening to the different witnesses. But what was really interesting is that there was actually, hang on, go back to my little OK Corral map here. So this here is the boarding house that Doc Holliday was staying in. Now his girlfriend was called Big Nose Kelly, and I think it was Big Nose Kelly. Yeah, Big Nose Kelly, Big Nose Kelly. I'm pretty sure that was her name. That's what I even got a picture of the saloon name and a picture of Big Nose Kelly. She was actually standing in Doc Holliday's room, which actually overlooked the gunfight that was going on. She stood there and watched the entire thing. They never called her up as a witness. Never called her up as a witness. Go figure. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I carried on my wandering around, having a look around. And so from there, I went to Russell's Roadrunner Stetson. And Kathy, who ran the place there, I said, I'm feeling a little underdressed. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, I got the blue jeans on, but I don't have the boots and I don't have the hat. I said, I kind of like a hat. She says, okay. So she said, what type do you like? And I said, well, what do you mean? She says, well, they have different crowns. So I learned that Stetsons, they are not hats, they are Stetsons, actually have different crowns. So you have the round flat top with the wide brim, that's the gambler. So you got the flat top, and you usually set the gambler. If you think back on Maverick, he always used to wear the flat top. Then you have the dented crown, which has a dent that goes from front to back, and the pinch at the front. Then you have the pinch crown, which if you have a look at the crown, it creates a V shape and it's pinched. So it's where they put their fingers when they put the hat on and off. And then you have the rounded crown where it has no dents. And you have the squared crown, which is kind of, when you actually look at it from above, it looks like a brick. And it's more used on the Cowboys or no, the Cattlemen use the Cattlemen are the dented one. I can't remember. And then you have another one which I will get to shortly. So then I went down and saw the gun show and went down to the back to the OK Corral after that, because they didn't. I was trying ones on, and there was one that I liked, and it was called Gus. I kid you not, the crown is called Gus. It has a dent from front to back, the pinched front, but when you turn it sideways, the front is lower than the back. So it slopes from the front to the back, from the back to the front. And they didn't have it in black, and I wanted black. I did not want brown. I don't like wearing brown. I wanted black. I had the choice of black or brown, and they didn't have any black ones. So she told me of 2 other places to go in town to try for them. I said, okay. So I went to the next place that she tried on my way to the gun show, and they didn't have it. So I carried on down there, went in had a look through the museum area, which is just it was actually really cool. They had some cool stuff there, and they had the 3 coffins lined up with the name plaques on it for each of the guys that got killed in the gunfight. They had all these different buggies lined up over here, and they had like this place where you can go pan for minerals and rocks and all that sort of stuff. So walked through the thing into the area where the actual gunfight took place. And then they had C.S. Fly, who was the photographer, a very well-known photographer in Tombstone, and they had his original Photoshop there all set up for photography, and then he had the rooming house, which was the building across from him, which is where Big Nose Kelly was standing watching the gunfight take place right outside the window. She saw the whole thing. She's standing, and you go there, and it's actually in Doc Holliday's room, and it was all made up. Although I'm kind of looking at this room, going, well, if it's meant to be his room, I don't see any men's clothing in here, and where is the bed? So it was kind of funny. And they also had this whole thing on Geronimo, the Indian, and the capturing of him and everything else. And but then it was time to go and wait for the gun show thing. And we're sitting on these park benches outside the gate waiting to go into the gun show area, into the gunfight area. And this couple next to me, they're sort of like, oh, is that the gunfight over there? I said, no. I said, that's the actual spot where the gunfight took place. The show is in here behind the wall. And they're like, oh, and with that, somebody pressed a button over where the original gunfight was taken. They had the statues all standing. And of course, it's talking about the gunfight and about, 30 shots in 30 seconds and that sort of thing. And I'm like, yeah, well, you've got, 8 guns going off, 6 guns going off, whatever. So that makes sense. So then everybody sort of like wandered over and had a look at all these things going and come out and going bang, bang, bang. And then they opened up the gates and we went in and saw the show, and the show was really good. And they had us every time the good guys come in, we all had to go, yay! And every time the bad guys come in, we had to go, boo. And we did that one time, and the guy who was playing Ike, no, not McCleary, the other one, Clanton, Ike Clanton, he comes in and we all go boo, and he turns around and goes, I have feelings too, But it was really, really good. I was taking some pictures and flipped it to video to get a picture of the gunfight, because you could see them line up the gunfight, and before I could even press the record button on the video, the gunfight was over. I was like, hang on. I was sort of like, can we just reset that and do it again? Because I did this whole build up to the whole gunfight and everything, but it took like 30 minutes. And then, of course, you could go take pictures with the actors afterwards. You could ask them questions and everything else. And as I was walking out, one of the cowboys, because the cowboys were the bad guys. He was standing by the door going back into the store, and he was telling them, they said, how was it that 30 shots were fired in 30 seconds or whatever it was? And he says, well, basically what it was is that in those days, the guns made a lot of smoke. So you're shooting and there's smoke coming out. And they said they just kept shooting into the smoke. They weren't actually aiming. They were just shooting into the smoke, because you couldn't really see who was standing where, because the smoke was building up and everything else. So he said, we didn't count how many shots that we fired. So we don't know if it was 30 or not, but yeah, there was a lot of shots fired in 30 seconds. So that was really cool. And then I went wandering again. Oh, no, I did a little shopping first. I got 2 books at the OK Corral. I got this one. It's called This Is Tombstone, One of a Kind. And on the back it has a map where all the places they talk about in the book are, and it's just these little articles that were actually printed in the Tombstone epitaph about these different, the gunfight at OK Corral. It's got the photos in there and that appeared. It's just the articles. So they're all articles. I think it was all articles. I think it was all article. Oh yeah, this publication was taken entirely from the files of the National Tombstone Epitaph, the historic monthly journal of the Old West. You can actually these days subscribe to the Tombstone Epitaph. It costs you like $25 a year, and I think it's either once a month they'll send you a copy of the epitaph. So that was really cool. And then I got this one, which is very interesting who the author is. So this is Famous Gunfighters of the Western Frontier, and it's about Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, Luke Short, and others. It is written by a guy called W.B. Bat Masterton. Bat Masterton was very good friends with Wyatt Earp and Luke Short. And later on he became a journalist and an author. So this book is actually from articles that he wrote for the Harper something or other. I gotta read it back here. For the Human Life magazine in 1907, he was asked to write an article a month about the different gunfighters and stuff. So it's not just biography; it's also personalized as well, because it's stuff that he actually knew. So it's a biography / personal account of these gunfighters that he used to be really good friends with. And Doc Holliday, Wyatt Earp, and Bat Masterton, and I don't know if Luke Short went as well, went from Dodge City to Tombstone to restore law and order and all that sort of stuff. So so this is going to be I'm really looking forward to reading this, because this is like first-hand account of stuff that went on with the gunfighters and things. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. So after I did that, I went and saw the Historama, which was really, really cool. So you go into this room, it's in a theater room, and they pull the curtains back, and there's actually a miniature model there in front of you. And I don't have a picture of it because you're not allowed to take pictures in there. But on one of my brochures around here somewhere, there is a photograph of it. And this thing would rotate to different scenes, but between each rotation, a screen would come down, and they would either have actors playing out what Vincent Price was narrating, or they would have actual photographs that were taken at the time of the thing that happened. I found out why they have I've got to go back over here. Why Tombstone is known as the town that never dies, because on June 22nd, 1881. Now, the gunfight at the OK Corral was October 26, 1881. So this is just a few months beforehand, in June 22nd, 1881. A fire started when a lit cigar ignited a barrel of whiskey in the arcade saloon, and it went boom, and it took out 66 businesses on the eastern half of the town, including a place called Rotten Row. Now, Rotten Row was so named because of all the lawyers that were there. Oh my gosh, it was even back there in the 1800s. So lawyers obviously did not have a good reputation then, and there was a lot of businesses in that area, and this one particular area was called Rotten Row because of all the lawyers that were in there. That just cracked me up. So June 22nd, 1881, you had that. A month later, this town was rebuilt. The next day, all the business owners were into the telegraph office putting in emergency supplies, emergency orders, and everything else. The town was rebuilt in a month. Then you go fast forward to October 26, 1881, where they had the gunfight at the OK Corral. And then fast forward to March of 1822, so just 6 months later, and an outhouse behind Tivol Gardens on Allen Street caught fire. How the hell an outhouse caught fire? I have no idea. There's been a lot of build-up of gas in that outhouse. I don't know. But it caught fire and burnt Tombstone, and a month later, Tombstone was completely rebuilt. So, as I say, it's this it's a town that never dies. It's hard to kill this town off. They've had fluctuations in their economy and all of that sort of stuff, and they've always built themselves back up again. It was a phenomenal story about resistance and, just perseverance and all that sort of stuff. It was really cool. Then from there, I went to the Branding in Western Apparel, because I'm still trying to find my black Gus crown. And Pamela came and helped me. Now, my mum's name's Pam. And my mother has always told me that she's very jealous of my head because it is a very good hat head. It can wear just about any hat. And I'm like looking at someone and go, I don't know if that's fully correct, because I don't feel that some hats look very good on me. And she says, well, let's try it out. So we're trying on all sorts of different hats and all of that sort of stuff. And she was surprised, and she came across a Gambler's one. Remember, the Gambler's is flat top with the wide brim. It was red. It was gorgeous. And it had this black strap around it with these little silver pieces. And I put it on. Very, very cute. I actually liked that one. I loved it. And then she gave me the black Gus to try on. And I loved that one too. And she was really surprised. She says, I think your mother's right. I went, darn it. She says, you have one of those heads that can wear hats. And I'm like, darn, Mum's right again, but in a good way. She says, very, very few women can actually pull off a Gus hat. And I'm like, oh, really? She's like, yeah. She says, not many women can wear a Gus hat. She says, normally you see the men wearing the Gus hats because women can't pull them off. She says, and I'm standing there with this red gambler hat and this black Gus hat going, which do I wear? And at that point, I noticed there was a couple up the front. And so I went to the other shop assistant who happened to be up the front with this couple. And I said, excuse me. I said, could I get your opinion on these two hats? Which one looks best? I said, I'm by myself. I hate shopping for myself. And I did this in any place I was trying hats on, I was asking other people in the store. I wasn't asking the shop owners because they want a sale. But so I was asking other people, just asking strangers, can you tell me which hat you think looks good? And so I put on the red one and they go, well, that's really good. And then I put on the black one and this guy turns around and he goes, that one, pointing to the red one, he says, that's Christmas. He said, that one, the black one, he says, that's every day. So there's also a way you put these on. Now, it is not a hat. It is a Stetson. Stetson, yes. So they are not called hats. They're called Stetsons. So I have a Stetson. So this is when it's a hat, not a hat, when it's a Stetson. And there's a way you put it on. You don't just plonk it on. You actually have to tip your head, hold the hat like this. See, this is the Gus. The front is lower than the back. And you've got the dent that goes through and you've got the pinched. So you fingers and thumbs here. So this is how you hold it. You hold it here. You tip your head. Tip the head down. Hold it here. Place it, and come up. Oops, I've got to straighten it up. And it's meant to come down to the eyebrows. So this is my Gus. And when I heard the name Gus, I thought, I got to get me a Gus. So this is my Gus. And he's completely crushable. So, because I told them I lived in an RV, so I didn't have the space to put a regular Stetson, which can be very hard. And some of them on the inside here, it wasn't soft. It was very, very hard. And some of them, their crown was low that it was hitting the top of my head. But some of them I'd put on and I'd go like this and the hat would go the opposite direction on my head. It was absolutely hilarious. So that's how you put a Stetson on, and they're called Stetsons, and this is called a Gus. So what do you think? So now I feel like I've got to get boots at some point, but with a swollen ankle, I can't really go boot shopping. But so then from there, I then went to dinner at the, what was it called? Longhorn Restaurant. And it was right next door to where I got the hat and, sorry, my Stetson. Going to get there. And I was sitting down at the table. I'm looking down at the table and going, what on earth is that? And it was, if you look in the description, it's spelled out exactly as it's written on this thing. Fatten You Foods. It was about an ad to get plump. I kid you not, I'm going to post the photos. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. And then I looked across and go, what the heck is that? Because I could see corsets. Like, what on earth is that? And the one across the way, which I'm also going to post, was for inflatable plastic bosom. And I have to read you what's at the bottom of the picture because it cracked me up when I saw this. And I'm going to find it again. There it is. So It says in very small print down the bottom, so you have to blow the picture up to be able to see this. Actually, take this off for a sec. This inflatable bosom, first of all, it says inflate it slightly more each year, any size desired. It will last a lifetime. Give the desired smart look to long, slender, short, or heavy figures. It cost you $15 back in whenever this was printed. It says, this inflatable bosom is a perfect life preserver. In case of shipwreck or other disaster by water, remember we're in Tombstone, I don't know where the nearest lake is, so I'm not sure about shipwrecks, it would be impossible for the person wearing it to drown. Isn't that hilarious? This is what it looks like. An inflatable bosom. And then it's got this here. It's for anybody. Daughters, mothers, debutantes, miss. That just cracked me up. So I had to get a picture of that. So I'm going to post that one shortly too. And so then after I had a really, really good dinner, it was really hot. I am a huge chocoholic. I love Death by Chocolate as a dessert. And I kid you not, because there was a woman across the way that had one. It came out in a bowl that was this round, this deep, and it was just that high on top. So the whole thing was this tall, the Death by Chocolate in a bowl this round. I'm like sitting there going, oh, that looks so good. Nope, can't have it. Too many carbs. It's not keto friendly. But I got my protein wrapped, which was what came with lettuce, ABC Angus beef burger. And the ABC was avocado, bacon, and cheese. Very keto friendly. I did have a few sweet potato chips with it though, fries. After that, I did resist the dessert. This chocoholic managed to resist the dessert. So I walked back to the car afterwards, and then a few miles out of Tombstone on the way back, I'd noticed it on the way in, but on the way back, it was open, so I had to stop. And it was U.S. Border Patrol at the intersection of US 80 and Arizona State Road 82. And I'm like, what a weird thing. And it was all completely mobile. So when it's closed up, they just wheel it off the side of the road and leave the road completely open. So I pull up there, I had the window down, pull up there, and this Border Patrol guy comes up and says, and I go, hello. And he goes, hi. He says, how are you doing today? And I go, super fantastic and sparkling. Thank you. How are you? And he stands there and his face goes blank and he goes, the same. And I said, that's awesome. And he says, you can go. He didn't, I mean, the cars before me, he was there with a flashlight looking in the back of them and everything else. There's like two cars in front of me. He's talking to the people as he's looking in the back with his flashlight. Nah, he just stood there. And then as I start to drive off, one of the guys behind him, one of his mates or something, turns around and says, you can't get an answer better than that one. So I made these Border Patrol guys' day by telling them it was super fantastic sparkling day. And then just along down the road, I'm driving down the road, and this Roadrunner runs across the road right in front of me and into the scrub. And I was like, oh, that was a Roadrunner. Oh, and there's nowhere to park. And by the time I parked the car and got out with the camera, it would have been well gone. But this Roadrunner, it's the first time I've ever seen one live. I've seen photographs of a Roadrunner, of course I've seen the cartoon version, but I've seen photographs of a real Roadrunner, but I have never seen one in person. And I saw one coming out on the side of the road, and I saw it run across the road in front of me and up into the scrub on the side of the road. So I was like, yes, that's awesome. And then a bit further down the road, getting this most gorgeous, gorgeous sunset. And of course, you're in a road, nowhere to pull over to take photographs of this amazing sunset. So I got to see it. But all in all, it was a super fantastic sparkling day. It was incredible. The history there in Tombstone is phenomenal. There is still so much. I could easily have spent 2 days in that place and probably still not seen everything. And it's not that big of a place. I wanted to get to the cemetery, didn't get there. I wanted to go through the courthouse, didn't get to that. Wanted to do a couple of the tours, didn't get to do those. So I'm not going to have, I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that before I head up to Mesa on Tuesday. But if I do, I will go back down. It's as simple as that. But no, I probably won't. So tomorrow I'm either going to do the Biosphere or the Air and Space Museum. I haven't decided. I found the information for the Titan missile, and I've got to book that ticket. I actually have to go book the Biosphere one too, so I need to work out which one I'm going to do tomorrow. So on my list still to do is the Biosphere 2, the Titan Missile Museum, the Air and Space Museum, and there was one other thing I thought I had on my list. Hang on. Consult. Oh, that was the other thing I forgot to do when I was down there. Oh no, just those three. So I've got those three things left to do, and then I have my mastermind meeting on Saturday. So I only have Thursday, Friday, and Monday to do these things. I don't really want to go on a Sunday because it'll be packed with kids and families. I'd rather do a weekday because then there's no kids. It's great. There's no kids around, and there's hardly any crowds. It's awesome. I tell you, going weekdays, awesome. But I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'll either do the biosphere, maybe I'll do the Air Museum on Friday because it's going to be an all day of walking. I'll do that Friday. And the other ones are just 1 hour tours. So, oh, and this was something else I got too. Jill's Greatest Prickle Pear Green Tea. If you don't know what prickle pear is, it's also known as a cactus pear. It is really yummy stuff. I had to, back in 98 or 99, I was doing Food Prep 101, and we all had to do different exotic fruits. And I ended up with the cactus pear. And so I haven't tasted any cactus pear since then, but I remember it being really, really yummy. I do have the prickly pear fudge that I got at Old Tucson Studios in my freezer until after December 1st when I finish my Bullfit challenge. So the tea may have to wait till then as well because it doesn't have any nutritional information on here as to how many carbs are in prickly pear. So I might have to go see if I can research that because I don't know how many carbs would be in there, but it would be a natural sweetener to the green tea. So I'm looking forward to trying that eventually. So all in all, it was an awesome day. So, and if you don't believe me, if it's not called the Gus, it says it right there. Oh, hang on. It says it. Gus, see? Right there. It says Gus. So that was my adventures from today. This is really awkward when your photo's on back to front. That was my adventures from today. It was awesome visiting Tombstone. If you're ever in the area, go have a look. There's so much to see and do in that little area. There's some great shops there. The people are super friendly. You get to see all sorts of shows when you're there. There's different tour options. You can go for tours in stagecoaches. There's a tour that you can do in a trolley. There's plenty of eating places. Some are only open for breakfast and lunch. But the cool part is that on your little mappy thing here, just turn it over and it's got everything broken down into breakfast and lunch and coffee, treats, stages and trolleys, restaurants and saloons. And in some of the saloons, they do shows. Because one of the Earp brothers, Morgan Earp, I think it was, he was actually shot in the back while playing pool. There's the museums, there's the hotels, motels, and RV parks, and the attractions. So that was my journey to Tombstone today. I had a super fantastic sparkling day. It was amazing. I can't wait to go back and do it all over again. And this time do the stuff that I missed out on. So if you get down there, definitely go do the gunfight. It's $10. You get the gunfight, you get the OK Corral Museum, you get the Historama, which is awesome. And then you get your copy of the Tombstone Epitaph. And even the story behind the name, when somebody decided to name it Epitaph, got told no because you'll be out of business in 6 months. We're now 100 and something years later. Well, 138 years since the gunfight. And I can't remember what year this was actually started. So this is at least 138 years, and it's, and, the whole museum's there and everything, and it went for a lot of years. So who knows? Oh, and I want to go to the cemetery. That was the other part that I wanted to do as well. So have a super fantastic sparkling evening. I have had a super fantastic sparkling day, and tomorrow, tune in. I promise not to talk this long tomorrow. And I will tell you what I did tomorrow because I have no clue right now. I'm going to go and put my feet up and enjoy my evening. Have a super fantastic sparkling evening. Until tomorrow, he konera.